Hello and welcome to the Doctor Who review podcast Around the Console. I'm your host Bob and I'm joined this time around the console by regulars John, Suky and Craig. But we've also got Liam H. Dempsey from the Spocklight podcast and other stuff joining us tonight. He's quite impassioned about this episode, being a white middle-class man. So yeah, hiya Liam.
Hello there.
Good lad, it's lovely to have you on. Yeah, we're reviewing The Fire in the Engine, apparently, aren't we, Craig? Is that what it's called?
Story in the Engine.
Oh, right. Thank you for correcting me. The
Right.
latest episode of Shooty Gatwa as Doctor Who. Now I'm going to do what we do, nip around, get your vibe. We will crack on chatting about a silly Doctor Who child's TV show. John, what's your vibe?
Okay, the vibe. I think the vibe would be more or less. It was quite a disappointing episode for me. I didn't find the story at all compelling, and the idea that it was all stories and all that bullshit was a little bit too much for me. It didn't feel like a Doctor Who episode so much as sort of a weird sort of, I don't know. It felt like a bit of a parody of a Doctor Who episode more than anything. And I struggled to get through it. I struggled to finish it because it was a bit boring, like in my head. But yeah,
well, that's why
mediocre for me.
That's why you vote reform. Craig, what do you think?
On first viewing, I was very much like John, to be honest. I found it really tedious, found it uncompelling. I felt on Saturday night quite flat from it, to be honest, very underwhelmed, lacking tension, lacking drama, lacking any kind of threat. And then I just saw loads of love for it everywhere I seemed to look. And as always, second watch, you can change your mind. And I found it really rich, actually, on second viewing and quite multi-layered. A bit. So, yeah, for me, I think it's going to be an episode that takes a bit of time to mature in my brain and for me to finally feel what I think about it. So it's definitely improved. First time, very underwhelmed. Second time, real growth and appreciation.
No wonder they took the local council election victory by storm. I'm going to cut to actual person of colour. Suky, what did you think?
Oh, that's me then, isn't it? All right. Yes.
Like a token like me, Suck. We all are tokenisms.
Well, this is the only way we can fill the diversity quota on this podcast, isn't it? Yeah. So I'm a bit like John and Craig. On my initial watch, I was a bit confused. What's going on? And I didn't know the characters just didn't seem to gel. But then I read a synopsis on it and then rewatched it, and I understood it so much better, and I knew what was happening. So on an initial watch, it's very confusing, and not we fan will just go on there and think what's going on really. But once you've really watched it second time, maybe did a little bit of research, then you just see there is a lot more to this story than the initial viewing, and which is a good thing maybe. But if you're just going to watch it the first time round, it's going to be really, really confusing. So that's
Okay.
So yeah, that's it. Well,
Nigel Farage for president at this rate. Liam, how are you getting on? What do you think?
Okay, well, I'd say I've got a slightly different opinion than some on the pod. For me, this was the strongest episode of the season thus far, and one of the best of the Gatwa era in general.
Jeremy Corbyn lover.
So yeah, I do feel a bit differently about it. Obviously, we've got a new writer at the helm, in Elams, who's a Nigerian playwright, and for me, this story showed the massive importance of recruiting new writers to Doctor Who more than just RTD and his mates, Moffat and McTeague, at the end of the day, because this is actually only the second episode of RTD2 that's solely written by a new writer, the other one being Rogue. There was obviously The Well that was co-written by a new writer, but it was still co-written by RTD. And this had a freshness and vitality to it for me that some other episodes have lacked.
No, very good, positive. I like it. I mean, I'll give my quick thing. I loved it. I thought it was absolutely amazing. Yeah, it ticks a lot of boxes for me. Brilliant. Cried, beautiful. Shoot, it was amazing. I thought it was class that they kind of did an episode for him for a degree. And having been to a barber shop, did you used to go to Barber Bells, John? No fella him. Do you want
No.
do you want some jungle juice on that, lad? Used to do the
No.
same haircut for everyone. Short back and sides. Fuck off, jungle juice. Go.
Oh, wow.
Jungle juice, he called it. Then I wrote a song called Jungle Juice, which is about coming. So yeah, it reminded me a bit of that. It's getting deep.
How did he rail a podcast? Step one,
What?
Bob.
I think it was a bad idea that Bob was presenting.
Barber Bell. Yeah, no, I felt it. Shot bag size, jungle juice. So yeah, it's a mixed bag. I like that. We like that, don't we, with an episode. So let's get deep. John, boring. Wow.
Well, I'm not. I mean, this is what I think about these things because I do only watch them once, and I don't watch them twice. I don't watch them. I don't go back and have. If it doesn't hit me in the first watch, the fault isn't necessarily the writing, isn't necessarily anything like that. The fault is that it's like it didn't grab me enough. So maybe it's just me. Maybe for other people who are super fans of Doctor Who, it was easy to grab them like that, but it left me sort of adrift. I didn't feel as though there was any particular reason for me being there, and I'm still not 100% convinced I understand what the plot was about.
I mean, I will kind of join you a little bit on that. You know, I kind of get it roughly, but I quite like all this sort of like fantasy kind of storytelling.
Yeah, there's lots of gods in this season,
thingy,
Yes.
and I quite like it. Quite like a big robot
gods
spider.
everywhere. I thought there's enough aliens and bad guys out there. It doesn't need to be all bloody gods and that lot.
But I quite like it. It's all, but yeah, it was a bit like it reminded a bit of the sort of plot issues they had with the Robot Revolution. But you know, it was just cool. It was like Shooty's. It was like Shooty's episode, if you know what I mean. It was just.
I will concede that this season there's been some episodes that have just been visually stunning. This was another visually stunning one because it was beautifully. I just love that the location of it was perfectly done. It was really good. It was a story that fell apart for me, but I mean, it's like that one that was set in America in the 50s. They're doing that stuff really well. They're popping about the different times and areas really, really well.
Yeah, no,
I'm not 100% convinced on the future stuff, or the sci-fi stuff. But I mean, we've got a mixed bag this season of historical type of things, and they're all telling much the same story, though. I think, and I don't know. It didn't grab me, man.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I must admit, I was really like that when I was watching it the first time. All the way through, I was really wanting to love it because I like the close nature in the barbershop. I like the cultural references. Production was brilliant. The cast were brilliant. There were so many things in that story that just ticked the boxes, like you said. You know, the fugitive doctor appearing was a proper gas moment. The little clips of the previous doctors, the whole notion of the doctor's life being a story that could go on and on and on and drive that ship. I loved all that. But somehow, on my first viewing, it did feel really quite static. It felt very narrative driven rather than action. Now, I didn't feel that at all when I watched it second time round, I have to say. Totally loved it. But I think I probably went into this with the previous 4 episodes, which were very wham bam, fast action, Carol, whereas this was gentle and slow and emotional, and it was a very different type of story. So I think I was just expecting something different, so didn't receive it in the way that when I watched it the second time around, I really did appreciate it. In fact, I've got a good comparison I'll talk about later on as we go through. So, Suky, you had a change of heart.
Yeah. Well, as John's only watched it the once, and I was in the same sort of boat as John on initial watch. There was a lot of good set pieces, as Craig said, like, and you just think, oh, great, that's happened. John Martin's there. The doctors have suddenly appeared. It's lovely that he's having seen these past doctors, but the story just didn't seem to gel with me because it seemed to go quickly. And it was all a lot of talking, and it sort of seemed to be like a stage play being set and a stagey way of acting. And it was just driving me a bit. I was thinking, I can't get into this story, can't get into it. I just don't know what. There should be a little bit which should suddenly grip me, and then I'll be going, oh yeah, that's brilliant, that's brilliant, that's brilliant. But it didn't happen on the initial viewing. I then, as Craig did, went online, and there was a lot of flipping talk on there about, oh, lovely episode, fantastic. And I even spoke to Liam a couple of days ago, and he was saying he really enjoyed it first time viewing. Like, and I was thinking, but by then I'd already watched it a second time. And I just that second time just before I watched it second time, I went and found the synopsis of that episode, and it explained everything that what was going on. How the barber had been like the helper to all these gods. He'd written all their stories, and then he wanted credit for helping, or even credit for taking some of them stories and saying, "Look, I'm the one that's put you up on the map, basically, and I want to be." Recognised. And they turned around and said, "Well, no, you're not being," and they kicked him out. And so he's then created this nexus, the web, the actual engine itself, which is a spider, and he's using that spider to get to the center of the nexus, and then when he gets there at the center, he's going to destroy the nexus. And when he does that, that means all the stories vanish. Once all the stories vanish, the gods vanish, and that's his whole plan, was to kill the gods. He doesn't tell Abby this, who is the daughter of one of the gods, and that's when she turns as well. And once you get all that and you realise what's going on, you just think, okay, he's somebody that's been used and then pushed aside, and he just wants to be recognised, and that's where the story basically lays.
He was very good, by the way, the barber dude.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was fucking awesome. Great. And it was yeah, I like the ending. The Doctor and his forgiveness. Liam, you were a lot more positive, and thanks for that explanation, Suki, that I knew. But for anyone that maybe didn't.
No, I'm glad you did, because actually I was still a bit confused after the second viewing. I hadn't got the point that he was the assistant as such, or the person that helped them get there. I got it in my head somehow that he'd been created half human. So I found that quite confusing.
Yeah, if I'm reading it correctly, there's a god, and he was a demigod, or somebody that was there just help, like one of the minions.
It's
But
all very
he's
Greek, isn't it?
Pardon?
It's all very Greek.
Yeah, we said the same times. It's completely Greek, isn't it? Everything in relation to the gods and the Athenians or things like that, all the way through. Anyway, come on, Liam. We've not given you a chance to win us over yet.
Shut up, Craig.
Yeah, so I only did watch this once. I haven't watched this twice, so it hit me on the first time. And it's interesting what people are saying about kind of previous episodes being a bit wham bam. And I think that's probably why this is my favorite of the series, in comparison to those. One of the things that there's been quite a lot of criticism of in this era is the extreme kind of editing of the stories. Everything is done extremely fast. And don't get me wrong, obviously, we're all classic Doctor Who fans, so we've always been able to see the difference between classic Who, with its longer stories, and the 45-minute version. However, in this particular era, since RTD came back, the stories are really fast unless it's kind of a longer episode. And sometimes it feels like too fast, like there isn't enough time to develop from each step. The kind of actual edits on things are extreme. I would put a bet on, if you counted out the amount of shots in the majority of episodes of this era in comparison with, let's say, the Moffat era or something like that, I would say the number of shots is probably vastly increased, because they're trying to move things along at such a pace for today's audience. Whereas this was far slower, far denser. It wasn't spelling things out. I thought, for me, the thing it really reminded me of was the McCoy era of Who, like specifically looking at like season 26 or something like that, like something like Ghostlight. It reminded me of quite a lot.
Greg loves it now, instantly.
Yeah, it's something that's very dense, very rich. It has a real kind of deep text to it. And there's a lot of kind of themes going on within the story, and it's definitely not spoon feeding. And for me, I just found that such a rewarding change of pace. I think the fact that it was this new writer, this Nigerian playwright, who clearly came in with something to say. Like, he is apparently a big Doctor Who fan and grew up with it very much so. But obviously, he's written these kind of very successful plays about kind of the barbershop culture in Nigeria and just kind of black barbershop culture in general. And clearly, the idea was very much to transpose that to a Doctor Who episode. And I really think he did that in a really smart way because it felt fresh and new and vital, but it also felt deeply ingrained within the history of Doctor Who in a really organic, natural way as well. And for me, Ncuti in this episode, I think this is his best performance as the Doctor in this episode. I think that this is his Doctor. I think he got to show his Doctor more than he ever has in the story by having like a Nigerian writer who came on board and kind of did this story so ingrained in black culture, and she suddenly seems more comfortable with the role, and you just felt like, I don't know, like we were getting to see his Doctor for the first time in some ways.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think this is his consistently strongest episode, and obviously, there's a reason behind that, and I quite like it was more. It's been touched on in the past, but is like, now he is a black Doctor. It was maybe with Jodie's Doctor being the first, woman, that it was occasionally touched on a tiny bit of sexism, but not really. Whereas this, they have touched on it in looks, with segregation and things like that, and people react to him differently because he's, apart from obviously Joe Martin as the fugitive Doctor. Because I didn't know that was coming, because that was great, and it was obviously great with the little Doctor Who, little telly pictures and stuff like that. And I thought it was a nice explanation of like, this is, I found this place and I can go and feel just completely normal, and which for the Doctor is a holiday. You know what I mean? Like, not just because of him being black, but just to get away and have a bit of rest, because the Doctor would maybe have gone to the Eye of Orion and all this kind of stuff, before, whereas now he just goes to a barbershop in Nigeria and it's like he can just chill. And the Doctor as well, like, he's a stuff of legend, that there's thousands upon thousands of stories about the Doctor in his blue box and all the good and help he's done as well. So I quite like that element of it as well, because he has got stories, to power whatever. But I did like the fact that his story that powered the engine so well was just about Belinda. And I thought that scene with her in the hospital was beautiful, and I did cry when that lady came and gave her a hug. It was like just properly good, because the Doctor could have told lots of stories and he touched on it in Dalek Cyberman, but he chose that one, and I thought it was lovely. And the fact that, like, like I say, this was a successful stage play, pretty much converted into a Doctor Who episode to a degree. But and you can tell it was by a fan. You know what I mean? Because I think he would have maybe put bits. I mean, I'm sure RTD will have influenced some of the nod backs to previous Doctors and bits, but I'm sure it was in part to him as well. And I just love the thematics of it. It was very Doctor Who in a shooty way, and I thought that was like such a lovely thing to do. And I thought all the cast were just great. It had me completely all the way through. So that was, and I've only watched it once as well, like Liam. Just wonderful. Yeah, wonderful. Big fan.
I loved all the themes of stories, which you just touched on there. Well, because it had everything, didn't it? Right through from the gods, through to the everyday life being a story, through to the to just the rich tapestry of the cultures that were coming through. Even when they went down to the engine itself, there are all the different gods and symbols around that were again part of story, and even how you can create your own story all the way through life, and then at the end he starts a whole new narrative as a new person, because he doesn't even have a name. So again, all this ongoing story. And I don't know if you picked up, I'm sure you did, the Joe Martin reference. The sentence that she used was, did I actually write it down? I'm sure I did. It's a different, when she says it's a different story that one day might be finished one day. So that even the whole timeless child storyline.
Oh well, yeah, because Belinda says at the end, did you see that child?
Yes.
And then it was a bit of a throwaway. Ooh.
Yeah. So there was
Do you know
all
who that?
this.
Sorry,
Huh?
do you know who that child was?
No.
You see, a child even want to watch it the second time.
There's a child that points Belinda to where the doctor is in the barbershop. That little
Yeah, of
child.
course she's in that street. Yes.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right,
Do
great.
you know who that child was? That child was the same little girl that played Captain Poppy in Space Babies. And if you go to the credits at the end, it is Poppy and then played by that little girl. So they've brought back that girl just to play Poppy. So
Right,
whether
okay.
so there's this whole angle online that people are thinking that the Doctor previous adventures are sort of bleeding into each other, and he's not actually anywhere apart from a little pocket universe where it's all fiction. And that's why there's a lot of stories about gods and stuff.
Well,
Can I add to that Suky, as well?
There's lots of stories about. Sorry, go for it, Craig.
Well, it was just I put down the notes. One thing that really confused me, not in a confused way, two things in it made me think of that exact point. One is when the credits start,
Yeah,
within the
Yes.
telly, as if that is the story. And also, there's another point. Oh God, when the doctor, she is talking, and you get the images of the look theater, and you get the spaceship, and it looks like Robot Revolution. And again, I thought, is this the Doctor's Adventures as a story that's being told to another narrative only? So those two things I thought the same and then going back to the three fans that were watching on the screen again, is this all just some kind of vision that we're watching?
Well, you had that as well, just with the Maestro Devil's Card when
when
they
starts playing the theme.
You start singing the theme or whatever, and so it's kind of like it's like I'm really liking this idea of it is a fiction and the land of fiction and the mind robber.
Or Celestial Toymakers games, for instance.
Yeah, and you've also got like the dance at the end of that musical episode, Devil's Chord, that just comes out of nowhere.
Are we gonna find out that the Shooty Doctor was in fact all along just Bobby Ewing in a shower?
I'm hoping not, because then it just ruin all these adventures.
Because you're right. There's lots of connections between all the stories, and they're all about. It's all almost like fourth wall breaking ideas.
Yes,
there's a bunch of them in this season. There's been loads of them. This episode today, Craig. Let me finish this thought. I've been trying to get out for like 20 minutes. Right. So I've forgotten what it is now. Jesus.
I'll fill in while you think of it.
No, it's about the fact that it's the whole story that's all about storytelling. So it's very self-aware in terms of it's a writer writing it. So he's writing himself, and so he's actually the creation of Doctor Who in itself is an act that they're basically saying that stories. I mean, that was the weakest part for me, was the fact that it was all about the power of stories or other ineffable things that are just metaphors that have turned into something now that they're trying to make real. I don't think it. I don't know whether it means anything in the end, but it does feel like there's got to be a connection between the fact that it's all self-aware stuff.
Wait, was it
fans and telly, and they're seeing themselves on telly and giving their stories about gods and stuff? There's something going on that's annoying me.
Well, it might all be. Was it me as well when the Doctor and the barber were having the little face off? They were talking to camera. Or was that just me? It felt like they were literally.
You weren't talking to camera, were you?
No, as in they were. It was breaking that fourth wall thing again. That's it. It felt to me like they felt to me like when they went to close up on each of them, and it felt like they were kind of.
Yeah, but
it looked like a shot that they.
Yeah, but that's not breaking the fourth wall, is it? Because that's just them. That's just the camera pointing at their face. Breaking the fourth wall is them looking at the.
No, sorry,
and not the other person.
I termed it wrong. I meant normally you don't get someone looking at camera while acting. Normally,
if they're addressing the audience rather than the other person.
Yeah, right. Or I don't know, but just something. It was a cool shot that you don't often see. Normally it's like back of the head side shots or close-ups or whatever from an angle, but you don't normally get it like full on unless someone is
He's a pro these days, Liam. Bobby knows his acting stuff.
I've just watched a lot of
He's
telly.
the man. He's the man.
I've watched a lot of telly.
It's not something I noticed myself, but certainly there is. Yeah, they keep coming back to this thing all the way through the series of kind of commenting, like you say, this meta kind of like idea. And yeah, I mean, I don't think they're gonna do anything like reveal that these kind of stories haven't been real, and I don't think they're gonna do anything as stupid as say, oh, the Doctor's actually a fictional character, because I kind of think they teased that in Lux and kind of got it over with. I kind of almost felt like they did that deliberately to kind of park that and go like, yeah, we're not going to do that, obviously, like we're going to fool you into thinking that's it for 2 seconds and go, oh no, it's actually the fans who aren't real. But then like other people have commented on, then you saw the fans at the end, like they had somehow survived. So it, the finale is called the Reality War, so there's probably going to be some kind of breakdown of reality between reality and fiction, maybe the Mind Robber.
I've got Mind Robber vibes, but I've also got Suky touching it, I think, was the Gods of Ragnarok, that's what the fans are, and I love that theory so much. I just think if it's not that, I'll be a little bit disappointed, John.
Are the Greek gods canon in the Doctor Who universe as real?
They have been in it, haven't they? John Pertwee had one.
Because he's saying about how he's been drinking him to Dionysus and all that sort of stuff.
He has.
These are, let's be honest here, not real people historically. They are myth.
They're fixed their stories.
They're mythological.
I mean, if you think about it, it's only the Mind Robber he met Medusa and
in
the land of it was Land of Fiction. But
what's the god? He goes to
he goes to Athens.
The
Mythmakers.
I think I've seen that one. Yeah,
there's the one with the Mythmakers where you had Apollo and were they?
That's it, Mythmakers.
William Hartnell, and we did go to Atlantis and stuff like
Atlantis,
that.
that's it, and they have the not Knonos.
Well, and also in McCoy's era, he does come up against a lot of he's sort of indicates himself as a god.
Yeah,
Omega was a god. The Curse of Fenric god. Sutek is a god. It's always been this like.
I'm uncomfortable with the word god used.
Well, I think it's
context,
more like
they're just a very advanced creature of some kind.
Yeah,
well, that's what Sutek
is. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like a godlike power, and because they're so powerful, it's like human race depict them as gods, but they're aliens normally. It turns out, but they just, say God for whatever reason.
That's often the thing, isn't it? Is that they're, what we would think of as gods, but in the Doctor universe, they're revealed to be actually something else, and that's kind of like a cover. But like you say, well, there definitely was lots of kind of hints during the Cartmel era of the Doctor being a god and things like that, and I mean, they could potentially play on all of those ideas. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be anything as obvious or as bad for the show as those kind of things where it's like revealed to be a fiction or Gatwa's era wasn't real. I think
I don't think they'd go that far.
Yeah.
But I do think they can be like, what has been, because there's been a lot going on since the Toymaker came about. Everything is.
There's a whole weird regeneration, wasn't it? Even
the residual energy of the Toymaker, which is what I've said many times before, but there's definitely something going on, which is giving it a sort of like fantasy element, which I've very much enjoyed, rather than it being like hard sci-fi or whatever. Which again is something I like, but I prefer Doctor Who to be a bit more all over the shop and crazy, Suky.
Yeah, so like also going back to Belinda. Belinda is trying to get back to Earth, and the rumor is that Earth doesn't exist in this pocket universe. This is the stuff I've been hearing. So if the Earth doesn't exist, so back to her Earth, but getting out of it, so the Doctor is stuck in a pocket universe. So when Ncuti finishes at the end of the season, all his adventures would still be valid. He just escapes a pocket universe. That's what I think would happen at the end of the season. It's like I think Eighth Doctor in some of the books that were released, he was stuck in this universe for a good many books.
Well, it's like end space as well, isn't it?
Yeah, end space.
And it was in fact, thinking back in Robot Revolution when they got that time, whatever it was, when they were traveling to Belinda Chandra planet. That could have been them then being zapped into the, through the wormhole into the pocket universe or whatever. So that's pretty sound. Pretty sound theory.
Well, the one thing I will say, of course, is which I think has only been announced kind of either today or within the last few days, is the fact that the finale will not be going out at 8 a.m. on iPlayer like every other episode. It's going to be literally the same time everywhere. So it'll air on transmission, air in cinemas, come on iPlayer all at the same time, which would indicate that they've got something big that they want to protect for the finale at the end of the day. Because otherwise, it's kind of like almost like, because they didn't. I do not think they did that last year.
They've not done cinema for a while.
The
last time was maybe the day of the. I don't think they did the Power of the Doctor, did they? They did the Day of the Doctor.
They did the Day of the.
They did Day of the Doctor.
Deep Breath. They did Deep Breath.
Deep Breath, and they did the finale of that season as well, Dark Water and stuff. They did.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think, because last year I'm pretty sure because when they were dropping it at midnight on iPlayer, I think they just dropped the finale at midnight as usual. So obviously there wasn't a huge amount going on in last year's finale that would make you be like, oh my god, can't be spoiled for this. Like, whereas
sounds like they're really trying to protect something, doesn't it?
I'm
annoyed because I'm gigging that night and I won't get back till later. So it's like. I just hate it when Doctor Who's
keep off your phone.
No. So seeing Joe Martin was amazing because I didn't know. Getting the midnight thing ruined was annoying because if I'd have not got that, I'd have been like, oh wow. Sorry, John, I was talking.
No, I'm just thinking. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer about it. I get this weird feeling, and this is going along with all the vibe of the last couple of seasons and all the social bullshit that we see. This sounds like they're trying too hard at this point to try and make it into something that maybe it won't be. So I hope it's not. I hope they do have something to land, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's not as earth-shattering as we want it to be, or as good. Just like they're just trying to make a bit of oomph about the thing. So it might be
Well, finales are always. Like with the last finale, like Sutek, particularly for us, it was kind of a bit of a ridicule towards Sutek, in my opinion, making him a dog dragged through space. That's not like Sutek was awesome because he just sat in a chair and was just so powerful, and it was more about, he did get unleashed at that point, and it was just, I don't know, it just didn't really land. But I was expecting, I don't know what I was expecting, but because if it had been someone else and not Sutek, it would have been maybe better for me. I don't know, but it was like I think finales, they struggle to land a lot of the time, don't they? But that's on us. I think sometimes I've said it before and I got told no, but like we build up stuff, don't we?
Yeah, we got to manage expectations.
Yeah.
Well, we also had the build up for the whole of that first season of Ruby Sunday's background and all this stuff, and it just turned out to be. Some random woman,
which I thought was great, I thought was good. I like that.
I didn't.
If you can't go around,
I liked it, but there was too much.
Up.
Yeah, there's all the mystery snow stuff that was all left the ice flakes are all left unexplained. I did like the fact it was an ordinary one, but it did leave too many. The build up to it was over the top for an ordinary person.
Yes.
The thing is I genuinely think the RTD, because obviously there is such a loud, toxic portion of the fandom, and RTD knows that, and I genuinely think that he enjoys like trolling that part of the fandom in his writing to a degree, which is one of those things where it's like, it's kind of, I kind of like, fine, it's fun, I agree with you obviously, but it doesn't always make for the best writing necessarily. I think, like, even though he may be right,
I mean, he's definitely right, and I quite like it.
He's definitely right.
I quite like it, because it's gonna get trolled anyway, so you might as well. I do think though that this Doctor Who, the shoot era of Doctor Who, is better than his first stint, if you see what I mean, of his writing, particularly. I think there's. I don't know. It just seemed fresh.
Oh, you mean his Russell T Davis?
Yeah, sorry.
Year, right?
Yeah. Okay. So I think there's I think the stronger the
Well,
writing.
he's older and better
no,
at writing.
absolutely.
I guess that must be it.
But obviously they've got some fresh writers in, which I like as well. You've got it's just there's something quite fresh about it, and I quite like that. So I quite like that. Yeah, he's sort of done it. He brought it back very successfully as well. We can't forget that it wouldn't be if he hadn't done what he did, and the way he did it. And thank you to that film for that because we wouldn't have had it this long. I mean, fucking hell, 20 years for a television show. Yeah. Just this new segment, is incredible by anyone's standards. So if it does, whatever happens. You know what I mean? But I think it's come back in a really good way. But he's come back like as if, fuck it off. I'm gonna do it all.
He's come back with very fresh ideas.
Which he couldn't do but he couldn't do it the first time, could he? Because it was like I've got to keep it on telly. Whereas now
are we talking about Trump here? What's going on?
No, he's just like fuck off. I've nothing on my wall.
But since his first stint, he has done some really top class drama.
And he's they're class, and he's a brilliant writer and a brilliant guy. And the fact he can run a show is just incredible. He's a talented dude, and I like him, and I like that he has agendas, and I like that he's kind of fuck it. When you get a bit older, you give less of a fuck, and also you do want to go. Fuck off.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. This is what's happened. He's done it. Initially, he did it to appeal to the masses. Now he's appealing to what he believes in, and that's what he's basically. I think
he's appealing to RCD.
Since his partner passed away, right? He's decided he's just gonna write what he wants, and if it's within Doctor Who, then so be it. He will use that platform to get out to the masses to what he wants to say.
See, I think it suffers as a result of that, though. I don't think that's necessarily a good thing. It's a self-indulgent thing, isn't it?
I quite like it. I quite like a runner, a writer, whatever it is, having this vision. His vision the first time was very different to his vision now. And I quite, if he's using his opinions within the writing of the TV show, it's opinions, isn't it? So we're not always going to agree. And we might, my opinion is I think it's not detrimental to the writing. I think it's fucking funny, to be honest with you. And I personally quite like it this time. But it's not there's been a political agenda throughout all of them. Barry Letts, such a lefty, and he really, tried to educate people very subtly. It's not as subtle nowadays, but and the same with Holmes, Hinchcliffe, and all of these.
Malcolm Hulk was the one.
Yeah, Malcolm Hulk as well. And McCartnell. He's like anti-Thatcher and all this kind of thing. So it's just I quite like if you're writing something, it's got to have you in it.
Yeah, this is 100%.
And this is where RTD's at. Like you're saying, he's lost his partner. He's a big Doctor Who fan. He did all of the good stuff, to bring it, whether you like it or not. He brought it back and made it strong and highly regarded, really well watched, made it cool. So ginger, specky kids like me didn't get bullied anymore, even though I was 20 at the time. I've been very guilty of slagging him off. But on reflection, I shouldn't, because he's given a Doctor Who fan so much. So he has the right to go fuck off.
Yeah, I should say I'm not really talking about the political side of things because obviously I do completely agree with him on that factor, and also I think sometimes it can make for some really strong stories. Dot and Bubble and last week's episode as were really, really good. I'm more talking about things where I think he knows.
Oh no, I'm saying both, Liam. I'm saying right. About the political agenda, as a sort of thing in Doctor Who, but the fact that it is him personally doing these things, because
yeah.
And I quite like all of that as a package. I think it's great.
I'm more talking about the kind of stuff where I think he knows a certain type of Doctor Who fan won't like it. So things like Space Babies,
great.
being the first.
I fucking love Space Babies, and I still do love Space Babies. So.
Well, Poppy's back,
Poppy's back, which is another dig to go.
Or like we were talking about the thing with Ruby, where I think obviously he knew that everyone would build that up in their heads as a massive thing, from that because that's what he was hinting at. And then at the end, obviously, Sutek was essentially the fans going like, I must know, going like, yeah, and then he was able to go like, fuck you, she was no one, it didn't mean anything, like you just built up into a big thing, like, it's just.
Which again, I liked. Yeah. I love the fact that she was just a random human, and do you know what, that Sutek analogy is perfect, because that was the bit that ruined it for me. Finale was doing something with Sutek, but again, that's on me. It doesn't, if it was called not Sutek, and it would have probably, I'd have quite liked it. But the fact it was Sutek, such a, like a massive figure in classic Doctor Who. Someone, Pyramids of Mars, amazing. One of the greatest villains we've ever seen in Doctor Who. To use him like that, because it was shit. To do that, it was on reflection, funny. It wasn't funny at the time, but I liked that. I did like that, but I did like the fact she was just a normal woman, and it made me fucking sob my eye out. It was great, and I quite like crying. So
so important. Like Shooty most weeks. Although I don't think, did he cry in this one?
I think the barber did.
I don't think he cried.
Yes, yeah. I think.
Oh, he did in the barbershop. That's all.
Did he? Yeah, I don't think he did cry.
No, he did. He did.
Oh, he did.
I
didn't notice him crying in this one.
I was on Cry Watch every week. I'm on Cry Watch, and he wasn't on.
I haven't got an issue with him crying. It's just one of those things where I just I didn't. Now you notice it if it doesn't happen, because it happens so frequently.
No, he didn't. It can be overdone, can't it?
The barber cried. The barber did cry.
Yeah, I think the barber cried. Not.
Do you know what? I loved the with Olmo when he was like, the doctor was like, you are fucked up here. You can't, I can't believe you did this and all that kind of stuff. And to see the doctor like that was a bit like, wow, But at the end, it was just. I thought the ending was kind of perfect. All this forgiveness,
Yes.
And that line, and like hurt makes hurt, or whatever it was. Such a fucking great line that Belinda said. That the demigoddess was like, you're quite wise, aren't you? But it's true. And the fact that everyone's sort of reset, and he wasn't necessarily a baddie. He's not doing good things. But
I've got loads of problems with this episode. The more we go on.
Go on, John.
No, just the stuff like the bowing at the end to what was she called?
Abina.
Yeah. All that sort of stuff. Just like, why are we revering gods? They're just flawed idiots going around doing stuff like that, and that's kind of, and there wasn't any sign to it. She just accepted it like it was her due again, and that's kind of more of the same, isn't it? Is it something we could have like maybe looked at? I don't know. It just felt weirdly wrong. To have done all that, and then you think, why you were paying obeisance to someone that just basically.
Well, she sort of rescued.
But she also participated in their abduction.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why they are treated like they are.
But as it said in the episode, she was duped, by.
Oh, that's all right.
Barber. She was told, we're not going to keep. We're going to get to the center of the Nexus and destroy it, but she didn't think that would end up killing her own father. So that's why even though this, to be honest, she really should resent her own father, because he actually tried to sell her to the doctor. Tried to get her married off and all this stuff. And that's why she's in that bad place.
So don't bow to gods, they're fucking selfish idiots. That could have been a message that could have gone out there, rather than yes, they do all these stupid things and they're terrible, but they're powerful. So let's praise.
But you've got certain cultures where God is a lot more, in my culture.
No, I mean, just generally,
but I mean, a lot more
treating anybody with veneration that doesn't deserve it.
But they're not treating anybody, just anybody. This is somebody that's within their own culture, somebody they've probably been brought up with. They've listened to their stories as they've been growing up, these sort of gods. So they actually see somebody and they've helped them to get out of the situation that they're in. So
you also get the impression that she has protected them whilst they're in the barbershop as well. Yeah. So it's a bit like that hostage situation, isn't it? Where you begin to empathize.
And I thought they did
beneficent dictator, isn't it? That's what it is.
That's it.
Yeah, I think this is about the story having a cultural specificity to it. in regards of rather it's it's not a commentary on Christianity
No,
or our
obviously, yeah.
relationships with
Yeah.
gods kind of thing. It's a different kind of culture and written from a different perspective. One of the things on that aspect that I found so fascinating in terms of thematically was with the barber, the bad guy who's obviously a kind of a sympathetic villain. This kind of theme of essentially black ownership over their own stories of what he wanted was the credit with the gods had obviously kind of basically robbed the kind of credit for his stories that he told, and they used him essentially. And I found that fascinating. That kind of seemed like tackling similar kind of issues as like Jordan Peele's Nope and stuff like that. And I thought that was a very very interesting thing for something like Doctor Who to tackle. And yeah, I just found, like I said, I just thought the episode was very rich in kind of theme and culture. And, I don't think we're used to Doctor Who episodes being as dense as this kind of anymore at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Kind of like, and obviously everyone's got different perspectives of the Stephen Moffat era. I think that he certainly has his flaws as a writer, but for my money, when you look at the sheer amount and volume of Doctor Who he's written over the years, like he probably is the best writer who's ever written for Doctor Who at the end of the day. When you look at his best episodes, they are very kind of dense and like there's a lot going on within the episodes and they're not kind of simple. And I think that is something I slightly miss during this era slightly sometimes.
I think we get it occasionally, like in this one.
Yes.
I think it looks to a degree as well. That was a little bit of guessing. That was more fantasy guessing was Lux, if you know what I mean. Like there was something to talk about in Lux, whereas there's a lot more levels, I think, to talk about if you want to, But I thought, I just thought I thought the barber guy, I recognize him from something. Like, if not, he's just, I don't know if he reminded me of like a sort of like the is it License to Kill, the voodoo kind of fucking scary dudes in James Bond, like proper like sinister, like. Because that was like a bit of the, it didn't quite go there, but that sort of, he was just fucking scared. He was
I'll tell you why he was scared. I think this has got a lot to do with it. The music for this episode, we haven't spoken about this yet.
Yes.
It was doing the thing because I noted it at some point where he's going there. It's doing the repetition, the sort of building up, the ticking clock kind of sound was in the background all the time, which was like giving you the anxiety. That's what you always have. That's why when you hear ticking of clocks, everybody's like something's going to happen. And it's like it was doing it all the way through.
More often. The music more often.
The music on it was great all the way through. It didn't overwhelm me like it sometimes has been in the past.
First time I didn't even think about the music. It didn't overbear me in this era. And it's good that the music's doing something it should do without me realizing as well. So that's it's actually it's the first episode I've not gone fucking hell, turn it down. Like it was
bring it back, Dad Murray, please.
Yeah, bring it back. Bring it
yeah,
down.
It's difficult. I hear Murray Gold. Yeah, it's not just you guys. Like I hear on like multiple Doctor Who kind of like commentary and podcasts, like people slacking off Murray Gold every week, and it's difficult for me because I love Murray Gold.
No, it's never Murray Gold. The music is good.
Right. The sound design. Right. Okay. Yes. Yeah. It's being brought up too loud. Yeah. I get that completely. And I think for me, you're right in saying, like, and to be fair, like, I don't think, and I do think Gold has written some amazing music for Doctor Who in the past.
Yeah. We are big fans of his music.
He knows how to write a theme.
It just
he knows the Doctor's theme, doesn't he?
Yeah, been to the proms, which is really fantastic when you listen.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
But I'll admit I don't think it's been as strong during this era as it was before me. But in this episode, it's the first time I'd heard Shooty's specific Doctor theme and found it like insanely rousing. Like for me, it played during the moment where all the video screens came on. You saw all the past Doctors, and his theme came on, and it felt really electric, and it really felt
I've not noticed this thing because the Matt Smith one was very obvious.
Yeah.
And it was just so. I think we've got his ringtone or something. It's like it's brilliant.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Music.
I couldn't tell you what Shooty's theme is. I couldn't
tell you what his theme is either.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I couldn't have a lineup as well. I couldn't tell you.
It's really, really
it's bombastic.
It's a lot of episodes. Sometimes more kept down.
I'll have a listen.
Yeah, he's definitely got one.
Yeah,
because good.
Matt Smith was very obvious, wasn't it? Yes, it was just
it was amazing, and I adored Capaldi's as well. Capaldi's theme, I absolutely adored. Like, but yeah, it's a really good theme, and it really in that moment, it really came alive for me. I think there was something about sometimes I think that because obviously that's something that's it's happened multiple times in Doctor Who's history, but it's actually quite rare. That moment where you get a moment in an episode where all the other Doctors' faces appear at a certain moment. It's kind of like reminds you that this person is the same person all the way through. Like in the first episode of Matt Smith's era, where kind of he's getting scanned and it sees all the different kind of faces, and then he walks through to be like, "Well, I'm the new guy." Like it's amazing, and there's something
with that music as well.
Yeah. There's something very powerful about it, and it is something that almost goes like in that moment. Oh, this is almost what ingrains. If it's done well, this is almost what ingrains that this person is the Doctor, because you see them kind of within that kind of history and morphology within that moment.
Yeah. No, it's he's I could say sometimes he takes me out a bit, but it's only Honey and Babe stuff and that really. He's tremendous. Like in this, he was tremendous when he did the face off with Conrad last week, because we maybe only got that bit really. That it was just like he's fucking cool. He looks cool. Dress is cool. I love that they've really brought the clothes in, that they get changed and all that kind of stuff. It's that's what his Doctor's about, isn't it? Like just being fucking cool. But then when he needs to do doctory stuff, like the real doctory stuff, when he's fucking about Hun and Babes and all that kind of stuff, whatever. When the real Doctor stuff happens, he's on it because he's a tremendous actor. It's been a nice for me. It's been a very fresh, nice breath of fresh air as this shoot era so far. We've quite enjoyed it, haven't we? I think there's been some very strong stuff. Let's go on for any final thoughts. John, I'll come to you. Get your 2 words. Final thoughts in 2 words.
It might require a rewatch because everybody's very positive about it. So I might watch it again some days. No promises. I probably won't. No. But 2 words, probably won't.
It's okay.
There's a couple of things I just want to mention. I love the fact that they used the map in the head Doctor's there.
Oh yes, the branding is brilliant. Yeah,
that idea. Whether it was just good. The tree, lovely design for that tree, when it just opens up and then opens up again. I thought that was fantastic. The almost story that you hear at the beginning about the fire and the Doctor meeting him when he was a kid. That's actually online as a written story on the BBC website, so you can actually read all about that, told from an almost point of view. In New Ellams, who wrote the Barbershop Chronicles, also managed to get some of his actors that appeared on the stage play. So at least 3 or 4
and himself in it as well. It was they did that. Yeah,
second time a writer appeared in the story written by them.
Have you just got a list of bullet points?
Yes.
All right.
Well, because this is my equivalent of reading the notes, info text.
Right. And also, he did a podcast about it last night, so I've written all this down while he was doing it.
No, this
on the Star Trek podcast he does about Doctor Who.
Yes, yeah, but I like to get this information out there, try it out there first before I bring it onto here.
Created, written, and produced.
Yep.
Written the theme tune by Bob Flynn, copyright. What?
Wrote the art.
What? Ernest Hemingway's story If anybody was wondering what that was, for sale, baby shoes never worn, which I thought was.
In fact, I was listening to a documentary on Radio 4 the other day because I couldn't get TalkSport in my car, and they're on about Hemingway and it was either Mark Twain and the use of the wording in that kind of.
You explained that beautifully. You're so garrulous. I loved it.
But just with the Hemingway reference,
no, you're right.
It was quite poignant.
And I love the Doctor's 6-word story. I'm born, I die, I'm born. And I thought, So my two words is going to be barbershop badass.
Oh, I like that. if we'd actually did the names of the episodes like we do in the normal run of the show, then I would use that. Okay. In fact, I use yours quite a lot. Just get some boring title.
I've been thinking about it.
Craig, another podcast workshopping it.
Really loved it. I definitely recommend you. Yeah,
you've changed your opinion throughout the podcast.
No, not at all. I changed a lot. In fact, a lot of what Liam said is stuff I'd got written down, like season 26. It was this to me is Ghostlight. In fact, that was initially going to be my 2 words when I was watching it again, because I just think that it's gonna change so much in how it's perceived because of its rich tapestry. Everything is there, so much interpretation available to this. But on first viewing, I didn't feel that. And I think the problem there is that for a lot of your everyday people just watching down to Saturday Night Doctor Who isn't going to have gelled. It will be the week episode. For me, and for a lot of us around here now that love it and passionate and gone back and we watched it and refocused, it was fantastic. So yeah, it totally had that Ghostlight vibe for me. All the different layers, the whole rebirth, the hints of what could come, a lot of critique of myth, of legend, of God, of religion, of tolerance. That was all in there as well. So to me, it had so much going on. So for definitely, and I've checked on this, John, because I know you're my guru on how many words we can have. So I was expecting Cliff was here, a bit of a contest over this, but I have Googled hyphens, and I'm going with multi-layered storytelling for this as my 2 words.
I Googled hyphens.
Managed to squeeze
I always
4
double
words
check.
into it. What a bastard.
I know. I'm quite proud of that.
I Googled rim job today. That was like what?
It's one word
of Google. Yeah, isn't it? Can you hyphenate a rim job?
You can.
Liam,
it hurts more though.
So I really, really liked this episode. It surprised me because I really didn't know what to expect from this one, and I think with these seasons, because they're only 8 episodes, like every episode you feel you go into with expectations because of the fact that you're like, well, this is one of your few chances to get it right. It's not kind of like, well, there was 13 episodes and you go like, oh yeah, it wasn't so great this week. Next week it's fine. Like there's more riding on it, especially with everything that we know is surrounding Doctor Who at the moment, kind of, whether it's going to come back or not. You're like watching it going like, this could be one of the last episodes of Doctor Who. Like, and I think, in a way, that's kind of why it felt so appropriate. It reminded me of Ghostlight in a way, because I was like, oh, is this it? Is that, we can't are we winding up again? Which is really interesting. And maybe, that's why we can get episodes like this that are so original and inventive at the end of the day, because we can take chances, knowing
again,
that
like
actually,
the Clay,
exactly.
A lot of chances,
exactly. It's not my favorite episode of the Gatwa era, but it's definitely my top 3. My favorite.
What's your favorite?
73 yards. Which obviously, it was the last episode I came on to talk about. That's still my favorite episode, and of course, that's an episode written by RTD. So I'm not knocking him in any way, because he is an absolutely brilliant writer. I just think bringing fresh, new writers and new voices onto the show is a very, very good thing and should be done more. My 2 words would be fresh richness.
Oh, there we go. Well, I mean,
sexy, very sexy.
Being a massive racist, I thought I'd hate this episode. Sorry, I couldn't resist. It was just
not a lot of dwarves in it, was there, Bob?
Next week, we've got a dwarf next week.
Right.
Definitely a dwarf next week. So next week's episode.
Oh my God.
Entertaining for everybody. I'm very excited, as you can imagine.
Are you working next Monday? Are you working next Monday? I'll book you a gig. I'll get you a gig somewhere.
Yes.
ridiculous. But no, and what I particularly like as well, because we've not mentioned Unleashed, and I really like me Stephen Powell fix of Unleashed, was they actually put the effort in as well, to get it right. The Nigerian culture, they got advisors in, which I think, TV shows don't normally have maybe the budget for or the interest in doing, so doing that, hopefully for people who are not me, made the difference, to make it, give whatever it takes, rather than going, it shouldn't be, whatever, they've actually put the effort in. So that's a good thing for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually not going to use words. I'm going to use eggs, shaky eggs. Do you hear that?
Spell it for me, please.
No.
I'd like to know what you're using these shaky eggs for.
Words. Oh.
Yeah, but other than that,
well, I'll pass them out to audience members to join in with my music.
It's not loud enough. I need to turn it up like Murray Gold.
More cowbell. So I'm just going to shake some eggs for my 2 words. So yeah, next time we'll be back again talking about Doctor Who and that. What is it next week? The Greatest Show in the Galaxy or something?
The Eurovision.
What is it actually called?
Intergalactic Song Contest.
Which I am excited about. Is it the same time as the other thing, Eurovision, that you like?
Okay, so we have a problem next week in that there's the FA Cup final and the actual Eurovision Song Contest.
What, on the Monday?
On the Saturday when the episode's supposed to go out. So I mean, it'll probably drop on iPlayer at 8 o'clock.
It'll still go on iPlayer, yeah, no matter what.
Whether it actually goes on linear TV is going to be depending on whether we get extra time.
The FA Cup final and Eurovision. So what is the FA Cup final at 3 o'clock kickoff?
Yeah.
Oh no, it's not anymore. Is it 3 o'clock?
I'm not
Like
sure.
it's 3:30 or 4 o'clock, isn't it, these days?
Who's in the FA Cup final? Nottingham Forest and Crystal Palace. Is it who it is?
Man City and Crystal
Is it Man
Palace.
City? No, I don't even fucking know.
That's next Saturday. It's not actually going to be on TV next Saturday night, is it not then?
Well, it depends. It depends what happens with the football, basically.
If it goes to extra time and shit. Like that,
yeah. But it just won't, like, Russell Davis talked about this, like, in terms of it just might not. I mean, it's kind of demonstrating how dead linear television is, really.
I mean, I'd watch it literally on iPlayer. If I watch it in the day, if I get a chance, but normally it's after getting from a gig on the Saturday night, I'll watch it, which is why I quite like the midnight drop on a Friday, because it was perfect for me getting in.
I'm gonna do the same as this week. I'm gonna leave it till Monday about maybe 3:30, and then I've got a podcast. I better watch it.
Are you watching Eurovision, Craig, being a gay man?
I'm going to.
It's a legitimate fucking question, though. It's a legitimate question.
I mean, you were talking about Kylie farting before, so
I didn't say that. I just said I used the word trumpeting and Kylie. I didn't mention that.
Craig would never besmirch Kylie in that.
No, it would go against my storytelling belief.
Do you like Eurovision?
I do actually like Eurovision. I hate the voting, but I love the fun of Eurovision. I just like the silliness of it.
Shooty is going to be the UK representative for the one that reads that.
Yeah.
In real life?
Yes.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, I used to love it.
Yeah, because Shooty doesn't exist in Doctor Who. He's an actor. An actor.
Yeah. But that's like, I mean, I used to watch it when Terry Wogan did it. Just got drunk and started abusing Polish people. As he went, what the hell is this we're watching? They have lost their shit, Albania. It was just great. But I hate it because of Rose. Like when Graham Norton.
Well, you're going to hate next week because Graham Norton is in the episode.
Well, it's going to be in.
He gets to be in it, yeah.
Oh, well, at least he's in it rather than fucking invading my space after 16-year hiatus, fucking up my.
Wow.
There's no problem with Graham Norton. It's just
It's probably the Doctor Who fans, because that's what the problem is.
It'll never leave me out. It was literally. It is ridiculous on my part, and I do think Graham Norton's very funny. But when it just 16 years,
20 years ago. That
no,
I will never forget. Because I was fuming for the rest of the episode. The Doctor Who being back on television after 16
Jesus,
years.
you would punch yourself in the face just to have somebody to blame, wouldn't you?
I'm a lot more positive nowadays, John. Actually,
yeah, you are. You've improved.
Yeah.
And of course, it all got brought back again in Time of the Angels when that went out. UK transition, there was an animated. It was another great furore because Graham Norton was going to be on later that night, and an animated ticker tape came on during the middle of Matt Smith's speech where he's just like, if there's one person you don't put in a trap, and suddenly an animated Graham Norton appeared below him, like going like,
it's hilarious.
But
I mean, but I didn't give a fuck then. It was like this was important because it was the first time Doctor. Oh, but yeah, but no, I think he's very funny, Graham Norton. But
yes, no, he is.
I'm fucking fuming. He's quite funny doing the commentary. He does the commentary, doesn't he, on Eurovision?
Yes, yeah. He is funny.
He's doing the Terry Wogan version.
But the Terry Wogan, just an old man drinking whiskey and getting more offensive, was just brilliant. I loved it.
Norton, apparently it's not a cameo. Apparently it is a proper kind of like a proper role. And he, at the end of the day, Norton is a good actor.
Yeah.
And he can
has he done actual television before?
Yeah,
Father Ted. Father Ted.
Yeah. Of course, yes.
He's done other things as well.
He's done movies. He was one of the main voices in Soul, the Pixar film.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. He is actually, I mean, he's absolutely hilarious from Father Ted. Like one of the funniest performances I've ever seen. So I'm intrigued to see what he ends up doing in that.
Well, you got Rylan being Rylan, haven't you? Which is,
yes.
And it's quite good with the presenter stuff. Like we did Alex Jones, she's called, who was in the one.
Yes,
show.
she was in.
And that's what they do, and I quite like that. I think Rylan's perfect for doing something like this. It's going to be great. Sided by a Catwoman.
Wasn't she in the last one? In the last episode, interviewing somebody.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. Like, when you have the newsreaders and presenters, it brings a bit more reality to it. But they can act that because they are presenters. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like they're acting. It's just that's what they're doing it. So
yeah, I'm intrigued. About this one. Murray is writing 4 original songs for it, which based on, I think he's an incredible composer. But based on his last couple of songs he's written for Doctor
I like the Goblin.
You do like the Goblin.
I like the Goblin song.
Do you know before when we were talking about self-indulgent writing? Yeah. Does the idea of doing a fucking I don't know. Why don't you just do a Strictly Come Dancing episode as well? I mean, it's just I don't like it. I think it's because
Strictly is very much like celebrities from the UK, whereas Eurovision is about the diversity of it, really. And the fact it is like including
it's about trash TV is what it is.
Yeah, it is, and it's so many cultures and all that kind of so many countries and that kind of stuff that you get a variety of whatever it is. So then I think it lends itself well to this greatest show in the galaxy. See what I mean? The Gods of Ragnarok.
Yeah,
idea,
true.
And I think Doctor Who is the perfect format for it. I don't think it could do Strictly. I think Eurovision. We'll find out next week. It's something it can do. And it'll be interesting to see how I do it because you've got Juno Dawson, who's the writer.
Yeah, new writer.
Who was brilliant on the. She was on the original official podcast last season, and then obviously she must have got the writing gig and had to shut up.
Yeah, she has done Doctor Who stories in the past, including one. The Doctor Who Redacted that was on BBC Radio.
Yes.
That for 2 seasons.
Which was interesting. It's kind of one of those ones. I kind of feel like this may be a bit of a Trojan horse of an episode as well, because from what I've heard, it sounds like
no spoilers, Liam.
No spoilers.
Sorry.
Oh, no worries. See you later, Craig. See you later.
Go and enjoy you thinking of Liam. Oh, I missed him.
It sounds like
on the podcast.
That's going to piss Cliff off as well because he's now having to do 4 videos. There we
go. It sounds like literally the episodes have gone out obviously to like critics and press and stuff like that to see, and it sounds like they've cut part off the episode. So to stop spoilers getting out, like a bit like I think they also did that with the Giggle, where obviously
they did it with what's it called as well, the Peter Capaldi regeneration into Jodie, right? Because I got a ticket to watch it not at the cinema, but like, kind of like the cinema, and they cut off the end. So
Exactly. I think they've done that with this episode. So yeah, it might be what everyone just assumes is just going to be the silly episode, and then something at the end because it will lead into the 2-part finale, obviously.
Cool. Well, on that note, thank you, Liam, for joining us. Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Listening. Thank you for listening. And you can go and check out Liam's work at Spocklight Podcast, the Star Trek podcast that inspired me to write, direct, create, produce.
Good
The Star
grief.
Trek
Give it a
podcast.
rest, Bob.
Check this out. Which
I did the art for that.
John did the art, I did the music, the idents, the idea for the show, the presenting. And it's all right. It's still, the structure's still there. It's been maintained, which makes me happy. They've got some really good people on it as well. So go and check this out if you like Star Trek.
Oh my God, now I feel guilty saying things about you.
Yeah, I know, it's okay. I know. Doing a great job. Doing a great job over there.
Yeah, thank you. Come and listen to Spotlight.
Yes, do.
Yeah, if you like Star Trek or anything kind of really related to that kind of world, because we kind of explore all different kind of avenues. But the next episode will be the Lower Deck season 5 episode, so that's coming soon.
They did 5 seasons of that.
Yeah,
They
it's
did.
Fantastic. Absolutely brilliant show that was.
Like
Sorry.
It got better. It got better as it went
It was
on,
fine.
so.
I couldn't invest in watching it regularly because there's other stuff to watch.
Well, it's done now. This is the final season, so
I'll
there
have
we
to
go.
No, I didn't dislike it. It was quite good, and I quite liked it. But I think I thought I'd put it on the back burner, thinking I'll go back and watch it eventually. So it's a back burner. But I watched bits of it. It was good, funny.
No, like I say, it got better as it went along, and you can occasionally find me in the pages of Empire magazine as well. I'll be in the next issue helping to rank the Saturday Night Live movies. So if that sounds interesting,
yes,
go
it does.
pick an
Tell us
issue up.
more.
Well, basically,
what are the Saturday Night like the people that have appeared on it movies or they're...
No. These are specific Saturday Night Live movies. So ones that are actually based on characters that originated within Saturday Night Live. So Blues Brothers,
Wayne's World.
Wayne's World.
Ah, right.
MacGruber. Coneheads. Yeah, exactly. So there's 11 of them. Some of them you will have never heard of, and for good reason. And every issue, Empire magazine does a thing called the ranking. We'll get a panel of critics together and kind of rank a set of films, and that's the one in the next issue. So that will probably be on stands kind of later this month, I expect.
Yeah, and so as well, like Liam is dead good at talking about films and that, so it's very good that you are doing Empire magazine. Well
because I'm quite jealous of Liam. He managed to have an interview with Sonika Martin Green.
Yes, he did.
And I was going, oh, you lucky bugger, you.
That was incredible. That was like the start of Discovery on your Star Trek podcast. It's pretty awesome, that, Liam.
Well, that was again. It was part of Empire's for the Pilot TV podcast, which is Empire Magazine's TV arm. Essentially, they asked me to do it because of Spotlight.
Very impressive, but Liam, what's happened to Discovery since then?
Well, I know. It would seem that I brought it down after I interviewed Sonika. That was it. It was over. So
don't interview Shooty. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Season 5 was good. Season 4 was not good. But the rest of it, I pretty much, I think, I enjoyed. And she's great. And that's all.
She is great. She is fantastic.
And not that I want to do any spoilers, but if Wayne's World is not the greatest film in that list of films you just mentioned, I think you're wrong.
Oh, the Blues Brothers.
I mean, I can what I can spoil for you, Bob. I cannot spoil the actual list
I do not want you to.
That will be in the magazine, but I can spoil you that it's because it's a panel of critics made up of 4 of us, so all of our kind of separate rankings get made up into the overall ranking. But I can tell you it wasn't my number one. So
Wayne's World.
Yes.
What was your number one?
My number one was the Blues Brothers.
Oh no, I'll give you that.
Absolutely the right choice. Musically, more than anything.
Oh,
it's one of my favourite films of all time.
Well, we got
a killer album to it. I mean, everybody had it in the 90s.
So I did a load of Blues Brothers music on Saturday night. So I was depping for a band, and they had all the brass and all that kind of stuff. So we had to do all the Blues Brothers and Commitment stuff, and it was fucking brilliant.
Best
with brass. Just doing that, Everybody Needs Somebody to Love. It was just absolutely amazing.
Bob, you know it. Whenever we used to, me and Bob used to be in a band. Whenever we used to have like other acts on with us that had brass in them, we were like, "Oh, I fucking love it."
It lifts. It
lifts. You've got a trumpet and a trombone. Fucking get it.
It just lifts music to the next level.
Yeah,
at least a couple of brass. Just it's just
brass.
unbelievable. So
I thought you were going to say you realised you were playing a redneck bar and you had to do the theme to Warlines. And so, yeah.
Well, do you know, and it got me thinking. I'm basically going to do a blues because there used to be quite a lot of bands that did Blues Brothers and Commitments. You know, like
yeah,
as a package. So no one really does it anymore. I'm like, why? It's the fucking great song.
If you can get an Andrew Strong voice,
well, I have.
Lead it. Bob. Andrew Strong, you know, the Commitments guy. Yeah,
no, exactly.
No, Bob. You think it must be
every time I do Mustang Sally.
Oh yeah,
the 50-year-old me like.
Here's the karaoke king. Yeah. Come
the
back.
Barry from EastEnders comes out.
I mean, you can all fuck off because I get paid my actual profession is musician.
Yeah. See.
So.
Yeah. No. See, that's what it is. I'm glad the mic cut out.
But and also, I thought you mix a bit of madness and whatever.
Yeah,
looks like a lady would be a good one to do. Great brass in that Aerosmith song. So yeah, there's I want to do brass. Brass is just fucking awesome.
Yeah. The Blues Brothers soundtrack is just incredible.
Everybody's going with it. I need a piss, Bob. Come on.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Liam, for coming on. Cheers.
It's a pleasure. No, thanks for having me on. And they allow me to talk about Doctor Who on a podcast, which I don't usually get to do. So there you go.
Stop it.